Hello, I'm Holly Patrick, Senior Journalist at North Star Meetings Group UK, and I'm delighted to be joined by Janthea Brigden today, who is CEO of Nipperbout. Janthea, thank you for joining me. How have you enjoyed the show so far?
Oh, it's been great. There's lots going on, met lots of people, had a fantastic time in Eventwell with the lovely lavender smells and the quiet. You should go there, it's really good.
I will, I'll definitely check that out. So coming from that experience with wellness, tell us a little bit more about Nipperbout, because from what I know, it's around children at events, which might not always be the most relaxing thing maybe to be involved in.
Well, basically, if you think about the way that your brain works, when you feel safe, you feel that you belong and you feel that you matter, you're much more able to take in information and to concentrate on an event. When you feel a little bit unsafe, that's when your brain shuts down. So if we think about the fact that a lot of conference organisers want people to engage with their show and engage with whatever it is they're selling, then it makes absolute sense to do something that's going to help a parent in particular feel safe, that they matter and that they belong. And the way to do that is to provide childcare at your event. And that's what we do.
That's what Nipperbout's all about. So what's behind the concept? Where did it all begin?
Well, it began back in 1992. I used to be an actress, actually, and I was trying to find somewhere with my very small baby to leave her just for a few hours, and I couldn't. And so I started off, long boring story, I opened a shopper's creche in Wood Green Shopping Centre. And from that, I was asked if I would run a creche in a field in a great big inflatable clown. And I said, yeah, all right, I'll give it a go. And from there, the head of the Vauxhall incentive scheme was there, and he asked if we would come and do some events for him where people come and buy big fleets of cars, but this was back in the 90s, and we were to look after the children while they, allowed the parents to drive the cars. And from there, it just sort of snowballed and escalated. And the name Nipperbout is exactly what it says on the tin. So we nip about the UK and Europe, providing childcare for 0 to 17-year-olds at events, conferences, exhibitions, and anything that people where people have a need for it.
Wow, so this sort of, your journey into childcare started in 1992. How popular is this concept of childcare at events now?
Well, again, that's a really interesting question, Holly, because I'm always asked, what? What is it? What do you do? Oh, you sort of childminder then. And it always surprises me that even after doing it for 32 years, it's still a new concept and people still don't always, they've not heard of it. But we've been doing it for 30 years, so we have been around, and many of the organisations that we work with, in fact, Sammy Connell, who is joining me today from the NASUWT and speaking with me, we actually joined up with their organisation back in 1993, and we were not their first childcare company. So they'd obviously had the whole kind of ethos of inclusivity and of trying to enfranchise their delegates for, I don't know how long, we'll have to ask Sammy, but a long time before they hired us. So the idea has been around, but I think it's beginning now with the whole inclusivity and diversity. It's beginning now to really take off. So we've been working in Europe, for example, far more than we ever did before. I think bizarrely, we started working in Europe in 2016 during Brexit. That year, we actually started working in Europe. So, yeah, it's a lot more popular than it was, and people are beginning to get to know and understand it as a concept and embrace it as a concept.
But people are still quite surprised by it.
Very surprised.
You find yourself explaining it a lot.
Yes, absolutely. And particularly when, sometimes we deal with huge numbers of children. So sometimes we might deal with 200 children or even 500 children is the most that we've ever dealt with. 500 0 to 5-year-olds at the Excel Centre here on the 3rd floor. And if anyone from Excel is listening, they will remember those events with sort of and start shaking and twitching like I do. It was a big client from abroad, obviously. And there were a lot of children at that event.
So a lot of families. Is there sort of like a rhyme or a rhythm to the type of events that have this? No, it could be anything.
No, it's bizarre. I mean, in the early days, we used to do things like film launches. So we did the film launch of jungle. What was that one about the jungle and Flubber? We did Flubber.
Oh, I love Flubber.
And George of the Jungle. George of the Jungle
yes,
and Flubber.
yeah, I
We did
remember.
film launches of that. We do lots of festivals. We do lots of conferences, trade union type conferences. We used to do loads of exhibitions, not so many exhibitions now, but we used to do things like the Big Bash. You're probably too young to remember the Big Bash.
Remember the Big Bash.
That was an amazing exhibition. And we used to do things like, Ideal Home Show, the Motor Show, caravan shows. And nowadays, we aren't doing as many exhibitions. I would love to do more exhibitions. I suspect it's to do with money and the fact that they need to sell the floor space. But it's still a great way of incentivizing people because, if you can get your child in a creche, if I'm an exhibitor and I know that I'm trying to make a really large sell, like a caravan or a car, and the children are out the way, then I'm more likely to be able to close the deal. So that's...
And you have that peace of mind as well, don't you? You know where they are. They're on site, so you can go and see them. You're not sort of leaving them for 3 or 4 days at a time, or depending how big the exhibition is.
Absolutely. And that actually is a very important point. It's back to what I was saying at the beginning. Belonging and mattering and feeling safe. And I think juggling parenting and business and having to go to business events where you need to concentrate. If all the time your mind is thinking, oh, have I done this? Have I done that? Who's looking after? Are they going to be all right? Then that's making me feel unsafe just thinking about it.
Yeah, or seeing all those missed calls from a school or another parent or a caregiver. Exactly. So that leads me on to my next question then. So you're speaking with Sammy later on a session, Children at Events, the impact of family inclusivity and how to create it. What can delegates here at the meeting show expect from that session?
Well, I'm hoping it's going to be fun. We're going to do a little bit of playfulness. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the brain and how it works and why it's so important. And Sammy's going to give real practical information about, from the organiser's point of view, as to what you need to be thinking about, compliance, size and space available, how you work out how many children you're going to cater for. There's so many different things. I mean, I could write a book about toilets, for example. We won't go there, but I could, because toilets at venues are always make my heart go just a little bit faster.
Why is that?
I said we wouldn't go there. Many reasons, but the doors are very heavy.
Right.
That's number one. The dryers, when you have a lot of people using the toilet, the dryers get very, very, very hot. So if you've got, a little one with tender skin just going past, they can burn. The water, the hot water is very hot. And then there are the delightful members of the public that come in, with their alcohol, walking backwards, glass, put it down, speaking inappropriately, which makes us all have to break into 10 green bottles sitting on the wall very fast. Or if you're happy and we clap your hands.
The distraction.
To distract. And I could go on about toilets forever. They are, high risk quite often. And so that's why we always say, if you possibly can, the best thing to do is find toilets that are for the exclusive use of the creche.
Yeah.
So no one else is going in. Then we don't bother anyone else and they don't bother us.
And everyone's safe.
Yeah.
So how can the audience watching this, whether they're event planners or delegates, find out more about Nipperbout?
Well, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can go onto our website, which is www.nipperbout.com. And you can pick up the phone, give us a ring. We're always, and I'm always willing to give people advice, because it may be that a budget doesn't quite stretch to childcare, but there are many other things that you can do to make your event more inclusive for parents. And I'm happy to help with ideas as much as I can.
Brilliant. So start that conversation.
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely.
Janthea, thank you for your time. Really looking forward to your session with Sammy later. And we'll catch up soon.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thanks.